Chapter 16, How I Weaseled My Way into the Gaither Vocal Band. Back in 1980, Lord, I'm starting to sound like my grandfather. When I graduated from Liberty University, I started traveling and singing concerts in churches. Roy Morgan, who also graduated that year, called me and said he wanted to start a booking agency. Specifically, he wanted to book me. I said, sure, I ain't got no bookings. So Roy took the Baptist Bible Fellowship Church directory and started calling pastors. Very few of these preachers knew who I was, but Roy was a pretty good salesman, and he talked a number of them into scheduling me. I traveled to concerts in a car crammed full with records in the back and my clothes on one of those bars that stretched across the back seat. When I first started out, I would always use the church's sound system. But most of those small Baptist churches had little old men with hearing aids in both ears who also worked on the buses. I mean, a knob is a knob running those sound systems. All of the soundtracks were on individual cassettes, one song per cassette. And it would take them forever to change those tracks. And when you're standing in front of hundreds of people waiting for the next song to start, those few seconds can feel like an eternity. So I eventually bought a Bose sound system that fit in the trunk of my car. When I got to the church, I would set up the sound system and put the Bose mixer/amp and cassette tape deck on the Lord's Supper table. I stood by the Lord's Supper table and sang while running my own sound. Then I'd go set up the record table in the lobby. I traveled across the country, stopping every 200 miles to sing in one independent Baptist church after another, whether they remembered they'd invited me or not. I sang in Baptist churches primarily because that's the denomination I was raised in, and they were the only people who remotely knew who I was. I sang for youth rallies, revival services, camp meetings, anywhere Roy got someone to allow me to set up my system and sing. I think I even hit a few Waffle Houses by mistake. I remember thinking, if I could just get a chance to sing in a Southern Baptist church, I would really make it. I'd heard their love offerings were better. But independent Baptists, us, thought Southern Baptists, them, were liberal. Why? Because they had a cooperative program. Woo, scary. And our preachers preached long and hard against it. There had to be some reason why we weren't Southern Baptists after all. We were Baptists and definitely Southern, so I guess that was the culprit. The cooperative program. To this day, I'm still not sure what the cooperative program is, and I'm not really clear on what's so bad about it. Although I'm sure some of my independent Baptist friends will now be happy to inform me. But whatever it is, it's separated the two groups. One day, I was invited to perform for a Southern Baptist youth event, and after that, I got to sing in more Southern Baptist churches. I found Southern Baptists to be really nice people, not nearly as evil as I'd heard. I liked them, and they liked me. In the meantime, Roy Morgan had started promoting concerts. He promoted some Gaither shows, and he talked to Bill about having me on one of their programs. I was hanging pictures in my house in Ackworth, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta, when Roy called me and said that Bill Gaither was interested in talking to me. My heart skipped a beat. I knew Bill Gaither had a comedy team, Hicks and Cohagen. I thought maybe they were leaving, and he was looking for a new opening act. But as quickly as my heart had jumped, it came crashing down. Bill wasn't looking for a new opening act. He was looking for a baritone. Ugh, a baritone. Gary McSpadden, who had been in the vocal band for 12 years, left the group. Nowadays, I tell everybody that Bill was looking for somebody as good-looking as Gary, and I was the obvious choice. But that's not altogether true. It's true, but not altogether. It's all in how you define the word true. Anyway, Bill was looking for a baritone. The sound of it, baritone, sounded so boring. I had never sung baritone. I usually sang lead, and I didn't really know what baritone was. Quartets, which I had never much liked, much less sung with, have baritones, and that's what Bill Gaither was asking me to do, sing baritone. I knew I couldn't hear the part, so I called a friend over who had a good ear and could hear parts extremely well. I bought the Gaither Vocal Band CD that included Daystar, the song Bill had asked me to learn for the audition. My buddy sang the baritone part in my ear. I memorized it. Then I headed for Nashville. My brother went with me. I knew I wouldn't get the job. I knew once Bill heard me try to blend, swell, and harmonize, which is what quartets have to do, he would say, "Thanks, don't call us, we'll call you. But if you'd like to buy one of my new videos since you're already here, ... But I went to Nashville for the audition anyway. After all, I had been invited, and I wanted to meet Bill Gaither. When we got to the little studio in Nashville, Bill Gaither, Michael English, and Jim Murray were already there. I walked in, met them all, and we went to the microphones and proceeded to sing Daystar. There I was, the guy they wouldn't let in the Sounds of Liberty, a traveling ensemble in college. And now I was standing next to Bill Gaither, Michael English, and Jim Murray singing Daystar. I approached the audition nonchalantly. I was a bit amused. I wasn't really nervous because I knew I wasn't going to get the job. I just wanted to meet Bill Gaither and make him laugh. I knew if I made him laugh, he'd never forget me. So I made it my goal not to get the job, but to make Bill laugh, and I did. It took a while, but I won Michael and Jimmy over too. It took a little longer for Michael than it did Jimmy. I often wondered why Michael took so long to warm up to me. I'm really harmless for the most part. So years later, after we had become good friends, I asked him. Michael said, "Well, I just never met anyone who on the first trip with the Gaithers would take their socks and shoes off, stick their feet on the kitchen table, and clip their toenails." Honestly, I have no recollection of that. I did at Ruth Graham's house, but I don't remember doing it on the Gaither Vocal Band bus. After the audition in Nashville, Bill asked me to go on the road with him and see how well we worked together in concert. My first concert with the Gaither Vocal Band was in a church in Knoxville, Tennessee. Bill had told me what songs to learn. I listened to the tape, studied the songs, and called my friend over to help me figure out the parts. Then I hit the road with the Gaither Vocal Band. That first night, Bill chose a song that he had not warned me to learn. It was called "Canceled Worthy." The first time I heard that song, I was walking to the front of the stage to sing it. And that's the truth. I just mouthed, "Watermelon applesauce, watermelon applesauce." No one knew the difference because all the other singers were singing the correct words. I toured with the GVB, still auditioning for a couple of months. At Praise Gathering 1988, Bill asked me to join the group. I'm now working on my second decade with them. I'm still traveling with the Gaithers, but the toenail clippers are at the house. And that's how I weaseled my way into the Gaither Vocal Band.